What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about the buy low and sell high players. Buy low players are players who I think are going to bounce back, meaning you might be able to get a good discount on them in a trade. And sell high players are players who I think are going to cool down, and you may be able to get a really good deal by sending them away. I'm recording this Sunday afternoon, which is before a number of games. For example, the Bruins and the Islanders are playing in a little bit here. So, for example, if Pastrnak has a massive game, he may no longer be a buy low, but the number one player on this list is David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins. As I'm recording this, he is on pace for 30 goals. That would be the lowest since his sophomore season in 2014-2015. If you're looking at his shooting percentage, it's 8.9% compared to 13.6% career average. So this shooting percentage would be the lowest of his career. He also has a very low on-ice shooting percentage, the lowest since 2015-2016. And guys, Pastrnak is leading the NHL in shots, generating a lot of scoring chances still. And in my opinion, even though this may be a down year for Pastrnak, there's no way that what he's doing right now is sustainable. Ultimately, he's one of my favorite buy lows. I've been including him in these videos, and I will continue to do so unless something massively changes. In terms of some potential trade offers that you can make, I actually said in my last video that Martin Necas for David Pastrnak would be a fantastic trade, and I think if you made that type of trade, you made a great move. But as of today, in terms of who you might package to get Pastrnak, there's a lot of options. I mean, you could do some sort of 2-for-1 package. Those are typically my favorite, where you're getting the best player in the deal. Maybe look to trade a player like Travis Konechny away for David Pastrnak. I really like that. Maybe a player like Mark Scheifele or Cole Caulfield or Lucas Raymond. Get creative, guys. I'm going to talk about sell high players in a little bit here, but yeah, David Pastrnak is a great buy low player. Another great buy low player is Filip Forsberg of the Nashville Predators. Forsberg is putting up a lot of assists, which is great, but he hasn't scored, I believe, in 17 games. So absolutely a massive buy low. He is currently on pace for 18 goals, guys. That would be the lowest since his rookie season. It's not sustainable. He has a 6.8% shooting percentage compared to a 12.7% career rate. That is his lowest since his rookie season. And ultimately, he's still shooting the puck a ton and generating scoring chances. So even though this may be a down year for Filip Forsberg, I do expect him to bounce back, especially in the goal department. Another one of my favorite buy lows is Matt Boldy of the Minnesota Wild. He was going to be in the thumbnail for this video, and I may put him in the thumbnail, but he just had a 3-point night, so it may be difficult to get a discount on him anymore. But regardless, I still think he is a buy low player, and he will be a guy that could be a league winner down the stretch. I definitely think his goal scoring has been a little bit unsustainable here. 10.4% shooting percentage compared to a 12.2% career rate. That is the lowest of his career. He's still shooting the puck a ton. He's generating scoring chances. And ultimately, the Wild have dealt with a lot of injuries. Joel Eriksson Ek has missed a lot of time. Kaprizov's been out. That is obviously impacting Boldy with his production. So yeah, in general, Boldy's a young player who definitely has a chance to break out down the stretch. And when everyone's healthy, he is going to be a massive star in fantasy. Another one of my favorite buy lows is Carter Verhaeghe of the Florida Panthers. It's definitely been a disappointing season for Verhaeghe. I mean, the one high point is that he's averaging the highest ice time of his career, which I love. But unfortunately, he is currently on pace for 18 goals. This would be the lowest since his rookie season. So yeah, not great stuff. I do have some concerns about him getting taken off the power play one that happened recently for Samaskevich, but that did happen like a month ago and it only lasted like 2 games, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. They also bumped him down to the third line, but in game, they moved him back up with Barkov and Reinhart. So again, guys, things change. I expect him to have pretty good deployment for the rest of the year, but ultimately, the reason I'm a big fan of Verhaeghe is, like I mentioned, highest ice time of his career, playing alongside a player like Barkov or Makachuk on his line. And we have to look at the stats as well in terms of some of these advanced stats here. He has a 7.6% shooting percentage compared to a 14% career rate. So almost half his career average. He is snake bitten. The goals are going to come soon. And ultimately, that is the big reason I'm a fan, guys. The goal scoring will come, and Verhaeghe will be a very solid fantasy player for the rest of the year. The next buy low forward is Andrei Svechnikov of the Carolina Hurricanes. Certainly a disappointing season so far for Svechnikov. Only on pace for 56 points, which would be the lowest since his rookie season. 5v5, he has a 1.35% shooting percentage. I think he only has 1 goal, even strength. He also has a 5.36 on-ice shooting percentage, 5v5 as well, and a pretty low IPP compared to previous seasons. So this is a signal to me that he is getting snake bitten. I'm expecting him to bounce back, even strength. He's getting solid ice time still. It's not elite, but it's higher than it was last year, which is good. He's a player that puts up elite peripherals and shots and hits, and he's a young player that has shown a lot of potential. So ultimately, I just think this 5v5 production is unsustainable, and he should bounce back. The next buy low forward is Eriksson Ek. The advanced stats don't necessarily scream buy low in terms of, on-ice shooting percentage, IPP. His shooting percentage is decently low, not really too low compared to his career rate, 8.8 versus 10%. But for me, the reason I like Eriksson Ek is mainly his deployment. He has elite deployment, even strength, and on-the-man advantage. He puts up elite peripherals when it comes to shots and hits. And a big reason why he's a buy low is that he has dealt with injuries this year, and so have the Wild in general. So when everybody's healthy down the stretch, I think he is going to be a beast. I think a lot of people are going to regret dropping him or trading him away. Another buy low forward is Jason Robertson. Yes, he's been better as of late, but he's still only on pace for 19 goals. He has the lowest shooting percentage and on-ice shooting percentage of his career, 9.6% shooting percentage compared to a 14.4% career rate. And I do expect this Stars power play to improve a bit as well. I think some of the guys on this top unit are a little bit snake bitten on the man advantage. So with all those things being considered, I still think Jason Robertson is a solid buy low. The next guy I want to talk about is Kevin Fiala. Definitely disappointing so far. Currently only on pace for 48 points this year, guys. That is the lowest since he was on the Nashville Predators, so like 6 years ago. Definitely a disappointing season for Fiala so far, but I do have some good news. I am expecting him to bounce back. The reason I say this is because he currently has the second lowest IPB of his career, could be getting unlucky in that department, and he has a pretty low on-ice shooting percentage as well, especially compared to previous seasons. So that is definitely a problem in terms of some of his teammates not being able to finish. Shooting percentage generally regresses to the mean, so if his teammates start to bounce back, that will help Fiala, and in general, he is getting really good ice time, right? Like, he's not a guy that's going to get 19 to 20 minutes of ice time per game, but he's actually averaging the highest ice time of his career. So, yeah, I think Fiala is not going to finish with 48 points, and I do think he's a solid buy low. The next buy low player is McCann of the Seattle Kraken. And listen, guys, I told you in, I think it was my last buy low sell high video, or maybe the one before that McCann's production was unsustainable. I told you he was going to cool down, and that's what we've seen. With that being said, I do think McCann's value is super low because of this cold streak that he's been on for the last month or so. And what I'm seeing is him getting unlucky on the man advantage. He's still getting the same power play time that he normally does. In fact, I think it's even better than it was last season. And you could see on the man advantage that he has a low IPP, low shooting percentage, low on-ice shooting percentage, all the signals to me that he is getting unlucky. So once this luck turns on the man advantage, he will start to produce more. The reason I like McCann is that he's actually averaging the highest ice time of his career at 17 minutes and 49 seconds of ice time per game. So I'm expecting the production to come very soon. The last buy low forward here is Valeri Nichushkin. Nichushkin's played great. He's not necessarily a buy low, but he is currently dealing with a short-term injury, so you might be able to get a discount on him before he returns. Moving on to defensemen, the first defenseman I want to talk about is Noah Dobson of the New York Islanders. The advanced stats don't scream buy low, but I do think there's a couple of reasons why I think he's a solid target, starting off with the injuries. Matt Barzal was injured, Anthony Duclair was injured, they had a couple of other injuries, and that has absolutely hurt Dobson's production. Another thing to consider is the Isles power play, currently sitting last in the league at 11%. I'm not saying the Isles are expected to have a good power play all of a sudden, but I do think this is unsustainable. So once his power play bounces back a little bit, that will obviously help Dobson's production. In general, though, I really like Dobson's ice time. He puts up elite peripherals. He's actually on pace for the most shots of his career. And basically, I'm expecting him to have a better second half than first half. Another buy low defenseman is Adam Fox. Now, if your league heavily values shots, hits, and blocks, Fox is going to be at a major disadvantage, so that's something to consider. But we do have to look at the fact that he only has 1 goal in 38 games. He has a 1.6% shooting percentage compared to his 7.2% career rate, and he's also sitting at the lowest on-ice shooting percentage of his career. I expected Adam Fox to see some regression from last year because his shooting percentage was insane. He doesn't shoot the puck enough to score the amount of goals that he did last season, but he has gone in the other direction. So I do think that he will score more goals and perform better in the second half. The last buy low defenseman is Miro Heiskanen of the Dallas Stars. Now listen, I don't think Heiskanen is going to reach the heights that he did 2 seasons ago. And also, like I said with Adam Fox just now, if your league heavily values shots, hits, and blocks, he is not your guy, right? He has never been your guy. I've never advocated for Miro Heiskanen if you're in a banners league or a category league. But in general, I do think he is a buy low defenseman, and I am expecting more production in the second half of the year. The biggest reason for me as to why Heiskanen is a buy low is the man advantage. He is getting unlucky on the man advantage, and you could see this by looking at his IPP, shooting percentage, his on-ice shooting percentage, all of those advanced stats that suggest to me that he is a little bit snake bitten. So yes, this power play production I expect to come very soon, and that is going to help Heiskanen. With that being said, guys, Heiskanen is actually averaging the highest power play time of his career. He's averaging 3 minutes and 47 seconds of power play time per game. Last season, it was 3 minutes and 18 seconds, so almost a 30-second increase. And this season, the second highest power play time per game is 3 minutes and 9 seconds. So Heiskanen is by far the player that is utilized the most on this man advantage. He's out there for a while. And if the Stars power play can bounce back, Heiskanen serves to benefit the most. Moving on, let's talk about some sell high players. And I just want to put a disclaimer here. I say this in every buy low sell high video. Just because I'm saying a player is a sell high doesn't mean I think they're trash. Doesn't mean I think they're going to fall off a cliff production wise. No, I'm just telling you that I expect them to cool down, and trading them away may end up giving you a really good deal in return. For example, guys, I was telling you to sell in Martin Necas in every single video. You could have got a really good package for him, but if you held on, you didn't. That's just life. Not every player that I put on here is going to cool down, but that was just one example that came to my mind. And there's still a lot of players who have unsustainable productions. So yeah, let's get things rolling. Starting off with Anze Kopitar of the Los Angeles Kings. Still a massive sell high player. He was in my thumbnail for the last buy low sell high video. 24.5% shooting percentage compared to a 13.7% career rate. So unsustainable goal scoring. He's barely shooting the puck. And he's also rocking a 16.14 on-ice shooting percentage as well. So yeah, his teammates are also overperforming in the goal department. Expect some regression very soon, and I think you're going to regret not selling him. Another sell high player is Jason Zucker of the Buffalo Sabres. Now, I actually just talked about him in my most recent waiver wire video as a must-add player. And yes, he's a must-add player if he's on the market, but he's also dealing with unsustainable productions. So even though I think he's a great ad if he's available, he's a pretty low roster percentage on Yahoo, I also think you should try to trade him away if you can. Let's look at the stats here. 20.3% shooting percentage compared to a 12.6% career rate. Also rocking a 15% on-ice shooting percentage, so expecting some regression. And yeah, the next player here is Dylan Strome. Strome, he's cooled down a little bit, but he's still playing well. I think he's fine for the rest of the year. I like his deployment. The Capitals obviously look great, but he is still rocking a 15% on-ice shooting percentage. So him and everyone around him are producing at an unsustainable rate, and I'm expecting him to cool down in the second half. Another sell high player is a guy that's been in every single sell high video, and that player is Matt Duchene of the Dallas Stars. He has cooled down a little bit, but he is playing better as of late because he's seen an ice time bump, so that is one good thing for Duchene. But regardless of the ice time bump that he's seen with Sagan and Marchman out, he still has a 21.7% shooting percentage compared to a 13.5% career rate, and he's still not on the power play one. His power play production has been unsustainable in the first half, and I'm expecting it to fall off in the second half. So Duchene is still a sell high in my eyes. Next, we have Travis Konechny. Konechny's been great this year, but he's currently rocking a 95% 5v5 IPP, which is absolutely insane. That is going to cool down. And he's also had unsustainable goal scoring as well. 18.8% shooting percentage compared to a 12.9% career rate. Try to sell high if you can. You also have Rickard Rakell. Rakell's been great lately, but I'm not expecting this production to continue. He has an 18.8% shooting percentage compared to an 11.4% career rate. So I'm expecting this goal scoring to come down very soon. Another player here is Cole Caulfield. I still like Caulfield a lot. Like, I've been a big fan of Caulfield for the season, but unfortunately his goal scoring has been pretty unsustainable. He has an 18.4% shooting percentage compared to a 12.7% career rate. So yeah, I think he's still really good long-term. Like, he's line one, power play one, young player who can score goals, but I do think his goal scoring is going to cool down. So I had to include him in this list. Moving on, we have Jonathan Huberdeau. Huberdeau has played better as of late, but unfortunately his goal scoring has been completely unsustainable. 23.5% shooting percentage compared to a 12.6% career rate. Yeah, I'm not buying this Huberdeau resurgence. He's not the same player that he once was. Then we have Lucas Raymond of the Detroit Red Wings, who I am a fan of long-term. He's a top-line guy, power play one guy. Even though I think he's going to be solid, I do think he's going to cool down. And the reasons for this are his shooting percentage and his on-ice shooting percentage. He's rocking a 20.3% shooting percentage compared to a 15.5% career rate. Not too crazy, but it will cool down. And he also has a 14.1% on-ice shooting percentage. So it's not just him, it's his line mates that are overperforming just a bit. Especially on the man advantage guys. He has a 19.2% on-ice shooting percentage on the power play. So if you're actually looking at Raymond's power play points so far in the first half, I think he's on pace for like 40 power play points. So that is a big reason why I do think he is going to cool down. It's the power play production. It's not sustainable. Next, we have Mark Scheifele, who I do really like long-term. Trust me, he was one of my most drafted forwards this year. He's looked great. The Jets have been amazing. But unfortunately, I do think his goal scoring is going to cool down. He has a 25% shooting percentage compared to a 17.1% career rate, and also a very high on-ice shooting percentage of 15.7%. I'm okay with you holding him. I think he's going to be fine, but if you can package him and try to get an elite player, I think it could work out. For some more sell-high forwards, we have Mark Stone of the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm still a fan of him long-term. Obviously, he's line one, power play one. He's typically a point-per-game player when healthy. But we do have to look at his numbers here and see that it's been unsustainable. There's no other way around it. 20.8% shooting percentage compared to a 15.6% career rate, and also an extremely high on-ice shooting percentage of 18.1%. His power play production has been unsustainable, and I am expecting him to cool down very soon. We also have Marco Rossi, who just had a 4-point night. The reason I think he's a sell high is because he has a 21.1% shooting percentage compared to a 14.1% career rate. And the fact is that he's not power play one long term. He's only been power play one due to injuries, whether it's been Joel Eriksson Ek out or Kaprizov out. That has led him to being power play one. So when Kaprizov is back, Rossi is off power play one, and that will diminish his value. Another guy that's not power play one is Arturi Lehkonen. He has a 22.6% shooting percentage versus an 11% career rate. So his goal scoring has been unsustainable. And it looks like when everyone's healthy, he's not going to be power play one. So I do think if you want to capitalize on that recent hat trick and trade him away, sell him high, it should work out. All right, finally, two more sell high forwards. Alexi Protas of the Washington Capitals. Extreme sell high, guys. 24.3% shooting percentage compared to a 10% career rate, a 16% on-ice shooting percentage, and he's not power play one, so he's going to have virtually no power play production. Moving on, let's talk about some sell high defensemen. Only have two defensemen on this list. The first one being Vince Dunn of the Seattle Kraken. I think Dunn is fine, and if he was scoring at his career rate, then you would see pretty normal production. But right now, his goal scoring has been unsustainable. 8 goals in 20 games, 19% shooting percentage compared to a 7.7% career rate. It's going to cool down. The second and last defenseman on this list is Cam Fowler. I think he's a great add if he's available. If you need a defenseman, that ship is probably sailed at this point, but still, he is a must-add defenseman. But we do have to recognize that his production on the Blues has been largely unsustainable. He has a 21.1% shooting percentage compared to a 6.3% career rate on the Blues so far, and also a 15% on-ice shooting percentage as well. He's going to be fine for the rest of the year, but he will cool down. That's just a fact. All right, guys, that is the end of the video. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.